The last chapter in the book is entitled What Do We Do Now? And we invited one of the best organizers I know, T.D.Peck, who works with Alternatives Inc. and is one of the many things he works on is restorative justice. And I asked Jonathan to look at all the chapters in the book and tell us, in his thoughts, what do we do now? Jonathan, what do we do now?
Well, that's a good question. I'm going to take some extra water, go home, and ponder this, and get up in the morning and go back to work in the schools. But really, thank you so much, Mara, for your, just for your, everything that you said. I think is critical. So really, I guess the question to you is, what do you do now? You need to buy the book and read it. It's pretty obvious. But it sounds like you guys are a little bit up there in the politics, right? Your IPO, you're an independent political organization. You've been around, you've been involved, you're heavily involved in the last mayoral race. Am I correct? You're nodding your head. Yes, yes, you all were, right? And so I think that if you read my chapter, there really is not like a silver bullet to this question, right? A lot of the things that you're already doing and that you're putting out there in your literature is what you do, right? I saw your whole list of things that you have about your values and what you stand for. And I know your history and I've worked with you in the past. So I think there's a couple of questions that Amara brought up that have to be addressed. So the mechanics of what you're doing, you're already doing it. You're engaging with your aldermen, you're building from the ground up, you're educating yourselves, you're collectivizing your knowledge base, right? You're identifying your core values. You're doing all of the organizing things that a lot of us have been trained to do and know very well. And so a lot of that's the mechanics. It's part of the mechanics, right? So you've got that down pretty pat. Well, I think, if anything, one thing we can do is look at why we didn't take the mayor's race last time. Why aren't we winning the situation? Why do we keep losing? And I think part of the challenge for a lot of us in the organizing role is that, we're treated like superheroes. We have to have all the solutions. We have to have all the answers. And the reality is, frankly, it's going to come down to this times 5,000. There's got to be 5,000 we are not broke events across the city. There's got to be 10,000 REMs, Restoration Mobilization Events, Education Events. There's got to be a way to sort of amp up the grassroots to a level that we haven't had before. And you saw some of that in the last election. How many people were involved in the last election? Raise your hand if you're heavily involved in getting out the vote, block by block, in your neighborhood, citywide. So you already know what it feels like, right? To amp up, to aggregate your work from the ground up. And we actually were pretty close. It's not like we lost, but we were actually closer than actually we thought we could get to in some ways. We actually got really close. And so I think one of the challenges is not to lose what we did, right? Not to lose that energy, that momentum, those relationships, those networks, that work that we all put in. Let's not lose that. Let's not retreat and think, oh, we're screwed. It's going to be another regime for the next 20 years around. I'm going to get used to it. Retreat back to my neighborhood. Guess what? I'm going to fight just for my neighborhood. Screw the rest of the neighborhoods. I'm going to fight just for McKinley or whatever block I'm at. Screw Garfield. Forget, Rogers Park. We're done. We just got to fight for what we have now. It's going to be a last man standing moment in Chicago. And that's what's happening now, actually. That's the mentality out there now. Right? You've got groups like yours that are very strong in their neighborhoods and are building the walls around the neighborhood. Which makes sense, right? You want to fight for your neighborhood. You want to fight for your families in your neighborhood. And people are retreating into those silos. And it sort of makes sense in some ways, right? The trick about this, what this book does, is it shows you a bigger picture. If you read the thing in totality, and you see that these people are fleecing everyone with $12 billion of budget revenue under the control of a few people, it's absolutely insane. It is even better than organized crime. It's absolutely insane what they're doing. here don't care about the people living in the Woodlawn neighborhood. They're betting that the people in Woodlawn don't give a shit about the people living here. They're betting that all you people out there are being divided and fragmented and stratified, that they're going to keep on doing it. And they may take a couple hits. Yeah, we may get an alderman that might launch an ordinance. Yes, maybe that'll work, maybe that won't work. Right? He might win a battle here on this platform. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But in the totality of it, they're betting that you're not going to be here by the year 2040. And your families won't be here, and your children won't be here. That's what's happening. See, they're rewriting the whole city. It's called an endgame strategy. It's called an endgame strategy. So everybody here fighting, my children who are 4 and 6, my 2 beautiful children, my 2 beautiful boys, they're betting that we're going to leave and go somewhere else. And we're going to have a whole new city with all new people. You're smiling. All new people. And they're going to import them in. Right? And if you look what's going on, that's what's happening. If you look at the numbers, the hundreds and thousands of black folks they've pushed out of the city. Keep looking at this and start generating it. And one day it's going to be McKinley Park. One day it's going to be that little dark blue dot on that t-shirt of yours in the back. And it's going to be like, they're betting on that. So to me, the biggest what do we do next is to get out of our silos, to start connecting with folks around the city, to rebuild an alliance of alliances, to start having a question, discussion, strategy discussion about reciprocity. What does it mean to fight alongside each other? What does that mean? When your issues here become my issues in Woodlawn, or her issues in Garfield Park, or Tom's issues in Lincoln Park. What does that actually mean to fight together? Right? What does that mean? Because you can take one alderman, hell, you can take, how many aldermen, progressive aldermen we have so far?
14, depending on the day.
Depending on the day you look at it, right? Those, right? You could take 8 progressive so-called aldermen, and look, we're still here. So we've really got to really sit back, gain perspective, and realize that until we see each other, I am because you are, until we see each other, and we see that my children, my 4 and 6-year-old black children, are equal to yours, and they deserve an equal education, just like your children do, where are we going to be in 20 years, 30 years? Because we can talk about the mayor, we can talk about Brown, we can talk about the alderman, we can talk about all those aldermen that covered up the Kwame Donald Street, and all that corruption was paid out. We can talk about the corporate council and those lawyers that broke their ethics are now being under federal indictment, all that stuff, right? But ultimately, what do you have control of in life? What do you have control of? You. You have to figure out what you want to do about it. And you've got to figure out, will IPO help build a citywide alliance to take back our government? If you do it on your own, and you go after your 3 aldermen or your 4 aldermen, you will not take back city government. You may create some resistance, and you may slow down some of their politics, and that's important, but to actually take it back. To actually take back the mayor's office, to take back the city council, to put forth a progressive political policy agenda that's comprehensive. To actually do that, we need a lot more folks at the table. And the only way we're going to do that is to build a citywide alliance, a citywide discussion, and an alliance to do that. Not one neighborhood, not one group can do it on its own. And we learned that in the last election. We learned that, oh my God, we were so close. But it was the first time that we had this many neighborhoods united against the mayor. It was the first time in a long time we got that close. So what do we do? What next? What do we do now? So the question is to you all, what do you want to do now as I3O? How do you become a force, not just for the community park and the three neighborhoods that you're focused on, but how do you become a force in the city for change? How do you take it to the next level? We have to. No one can do it alone right now. Nobody can take this mayor out.